Welcome, everybody. Welcome to SCaLE. This is the Personal AI Workshop, and it's 2 hours, maybe an hour and 45 minutes of presentations of deep technical stacks that are all in the personal AI space. Let me tell you a little bit about Kwaai. Kwaai is a non-profit AI lab. You'll hear more about it later on in Hall F. This is an opportunity for our sponsors, a number of vendors, to describe to you their tech stack. So,
hi everyone. My name is Katelyn Pucci. I am an AI integrations engineer with Personal AI. And essentially what we do is we enable businesses to rapidly train and deploy their own AI teams, multiplying performance by 10x at 10% the headcount cost. All right, so a little overview of Personal AI. So what we do is essentially create AI personas which function specifically for a specific reason and possess deep proprietary knowledge that are designated in a specific area. Some personas are designed to collaborate with humans, while others may be used to conduct research and be integrated with your existing workflows. For any role in a company, a persona can be trained and managed securely within our platform. So today I'll be kind of going over PLMs, which we deem the personal language model versus LLMs, our personal language model and RAG. And then I'll move into a brief platform overview as well as an API walkthrough, and then we'll cover some integration use cases as well. So this is just a basic breakdown of what the differences are between a large language model and a personal language model. So as most of you are probably all familiar with, large language models are capable of understanding and generating human text. They're very task specific, and they're trained on vast amounts of internet data. So they're not necessarily specific to the user. I know there are tools where you can upload different documents and things and kind of curate your responses, but at the end of the day, they often hallucinate and are pulling context from the internet, which is not helpful, especially in a business. So the personal language model is rooted in your proprietary knowledge, meaning that you have a memory stack where you're uploading data, and the language model or the PLM is using that data to formulate responses based on your data rather than pulling from the internet. So it's a model that's trained on you, by you, and for you. So here's an overview of what the persona creation looks like. So as of today, we have 67,309 personas created on our platform. I don't know how to get rid. Okay. So essentially, it's kind of a funnel down approach in this sense. But when you're building your model, we're building from the ground up. Rather than an LLM, you're starting from this big, broad area, and you're trying to fine tune down, which we learned doesn't usually work and produce the results people are looking for. So with our platform, you have the ability to upload all these different documents, and what happens then is they go into the memory stack and semantic chunking takes place, and you're able to fine tune and kind of customize your responses in order for the model to learn better and learn more about you as an individual and style it depending on how you talk and things like that. So you control your memory and you control the responses. You have the ability to edit responses and make changes, restack memories and things like that. So that's kind of what this looks like. A very basic overview of how this is broken down. And then, so over 1,200 active personal language models are helping customers and their businesses as of today. So the important part about personas is picking the right persona for the right task at the right time. That's something that we emphasize for businesses that are looking to leverage these personas. You want to make sure that you have a solid use case in the sense that you are picking a task and picking your data correctly that pertains to that specific domain of knowledge. So you have the ability to inhibit long-term, short-term, and contextual memory. And then from there, you'll see that there is the RAG model. So essentially, the RAG model is pulling the relevant data based on a keyword prompt and using that to formulate responses. And it's the personal language model is foundational with the LLM. So essentially all of the data is going into the language the PLM, and that data gets pulled and formulated using the LLM. So now we'll shift into the API portion of personal AI. So here we have, these are the most commonly used, let's see if I can, the most commonly used APIs that I use and my customers use on a day-to-day basis. So we have the traditional AI message, uploading URLs, which essentially allows you to just paste the URL in, and that URL content will be parsed and uploaded as text for the AI to understand. And then there's AI instructions. So what that is we actually have AI tools within our platform, such as ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, Llama, and Gemini, which allow you to use LLMs with a no retention policy. So none of that data is getting stored on the LLM side. So you're able to securely use those rather than, just going to ChatGPT and doing it that way. That data gets used to train their models. And then we have AI memory, so you can upload any sort of memory block that you want using our API. You have the ability to upload a document, which is essentially just a text-based document, and then you can also upload a file. So if you have a PDF or hundreds of files on your computer, you can do that through our API, and essentially build on top of this and create your own platform, if you will. Yeah, so as I was saying, so with the AI tools and our LLMs, so you have private and secure access to LLMs with no retention. So this allows you to kind of perform research and leverage those LLMs for maybe more generalized information. And you can utilize your personas to kind of build on top of that. So you can use those different agents to work together and formulate different responses or put together reports, get summaries, things like that, while still accessing, maybe you want a broader set of knowledge rather than just what your persona has been based on. You're able to do that utilizing the LLMs. So this is just an example to break down kind of what the personas look like. A lot of people get very confused when we're trying to map this out. So I'm going to try to break it down a little simpler here. But essentially you have, so this is just a little mock-up account that I have created. So you have your developer of personal AI, and that's your primary AI. So it encompasses all the knowledge of the personas that you have. So if you have personas that are in, doing different tasks and different domain experts, the primary AI will have all of that knowledge base. Whereas each persona can be specific and tailored to whatever that domain is. So for example, we have Pippa Codewell. She's a Python developer. So she's all Python. That's what she does. And then we have Jack Byte, who's a Java developer. So those two don't necessarily intertwine, and their data is kept separate from one another. So there's no, cross-contamination and hallucinations there. But if you wanted to leverage both personas, you're able to do so with the primary AI. But you can also, we also have AI mentions, which allow you to call multiple personas at the same time in a channel and leverage that to kind of build responses and have the AIs kind of think off of each other and brainstorm, similar to how humans would work together. All right, let's get into the fun part. So this is just an example of stacking memories to an AI persona. So this is what the curl would look like. And the parameters include, the text. So that's what you would be stacking to the memory. So whatever text you're going to upload, that's going to be uploaded as a memory block. You also have the ability to do raw feed text. The domain name is what is specific to that persona. So if we go back on this slide, I'll show you real quick at the bottom. These personas here have specific domain names, which make them identifiable. So that's how we leverage those in the API in order to distinguish where the information gets sent. You have the ability to add, metadata like created time, source name, and then any sort of tags. So the tags can be used with that RAG model. So if you're going to prompt AI and use one of these keywords, it'll look for blocks that have those specific keywords in them. So that's kind of how that works. And then I'll show you an output. So once this curl gets sent, You can see it's been uploaded into memory blocks. And now if I ask the AI, hey, what degree do you have? It's going to say I have a BS in computer science. And so that's the response you'll see on your end after you've executed that curl. And then all of our APIs are very similar. So once you kind of understand what each one does and the parameters, they're very easy to use. Similar with the memory one, this is the messaging one, which utilizes the text. So as it, it's pretty self-explanatory, the message is going to be whatever you put in the text. And then, so the context field actually here is very important. That kind of acts as sort of a directive for the AI. So it allows you to essentially tell the AI how you would like it to respond. So you can change that and, say respond like a pirate, and it'll respond like a pirate. So things like that. So you can really get creative with the custom direct or the context and utilize that in your API requests in order to get a response that matches your workflow and your business needs. And then the username, you can use that to just distinguish where the API is coming from. If you wanted to let the AI know, hey, this user is sending in this request, and the AI can be more tailored and specific for that user. And then same thing of the domain name. With this, you actually have the ability to send it to a channel directly. And what a channel is essentially similar to Slack, where you can have different people working in the channel as well as different AIs. So it's kind of a group collaboration, and you're able to send messages in there as well and get responses. And then the session ID is also a very pivotal part of the messaging APIs. So what that does is it allows you to keep the conversation going. So if you've used any sort of LLM, you know that there's like a new chat functionality. So this is similar in the sense that if you were to pass no session ID, one will be automatically created. And if you don't continue to pass one, it's like generating a new chat each time. But if you want the AI to keep following the context and keep utilizing that, conversation that you've started, you'll create a session ID. It can be any sort of thing. And I can kind of get into more specifics in terms of workflows and what this would look like. But I just wanted to bring that up to show you that. So this is an example of what this message would look like. So if I've sent this curl within the platform, you're able to manage everything. So you could have someone who's building on top and someone who's managing the platform themselves. And it's very easy to understand. So you can see the username was passed and the test API, which I passed as the source name. And then this is the session ID, this line right there with the arrow. That's showing you that the conversation is connected. So that means the AI is continuing the conversation utilizing that session ID. And then you can see the domain name, and that's going to that specific persona, which is the primary AI, because that's what I passed as the domain name. All right, so we'll move into use cases and integrations. Currently with our platform, we are still expanding, but right now we have native integrations that you're able to utilize within the platform. So you're able to sign into your Gmail, Outlook, Google Drive, OneDrive, and Dropbox using OAuth and sign in there. And essentially what they are used for is data ingestion. So you're able to utilize those different tools to kind of bring in, emails, documents, and have your AI trained on those sources of data. So the AI can learn to either write, in that style, or learn what your business does, or maybe, draft emails, things like that. And then we also are partnered with Zapier. So if you were to go on Zapier, right now and look up personal AI, we have all those APIs I just talked about there. So if you're not too keen on coding anything, you can do that the no-code way. And then we also have an SMS integration. So we essentially can assign your AI a phone number. And if people want to text the AI, they're able to do so, and you're able to manage it through a channel and be able to see all the messages coming through and see who's sending in requests. All right, so I will move over into the platform overview just to give you an idea. So when you log into our platform, this is just a demo account of, a random business. And so here you can see we have all these different AI personas that are specialized in different domains of knowledge, and they act in different, roles of a company, if you will. So we have a data analyst, VP of strategy, HR director, things like that. And they all have data that's been uploaded to each persona that is specific to what that job is. You can also utilize this in different ways, and it could be different tasks, one person does. So maybe I like to post, social media content. I could have a persona for that, but I also, do integration. So I could have a persona for that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be business specific. But this is just to give you a better understanding of how that domain, that separation of domain knowledge works. So the primary AI has all the information from all these personas, but these personas don't have the information of the other personas. So if we go over to this messaging part, this is the channels I was talking about, where you're able to add different users as well as different AIs and use that to leverage and collaborate with one another, similar to how you would with Slack, just with AIs as well. So if we go into one of these personas, you're able to also DM the persona privately, so no one sees, what you're doing. If you have multiple people logged into or have access to the account, you're able to, privately DM. And then here is where you're able to actually set a custom directive. So similar to that context field I was talking about with the API, you're able to do this within our platform itself. So the custom directive can be, very in-depth or very minimal, depending on how you want that to look. So you can use it to structure your responses, like I said earlier. And we also have channel directives. So channel directives are useful in when you create different channels, they can have different, jobs that they're performing. So channel directives might be helpful for if you're using the same persona, but you want to have different outputs for each one. So you could essentially have one persona, like this one, who's a data analyst, but is performing different tasks depending on what each channel directive is. So that's kind of a way to essentially have multiple custom directives with one persona. So that's how that looks. So this is very helpful when you're trying to create a specific output, if you're trying to do a specific, workflow or integration where you're breaking down data chunk by chunk, or if there's different questions you might need to ask. For example, if you were to upload, a medical record of some sort, you could utilize the channel directives to have one singular AI persona look at different parts of the medical record and have them focus on different parts. So you could say you are going to focus on patient like PT. Did the patient get any physical therapy? And then, or did the patient, was the patient prescribed any medication? So things like that, you're able to break it up into smaller chunks to get better responses. So with that being said, I wanted to kind of just show you how the APIs work. I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with how APIs work, but I'll show you just watching it live. So this search API is interesting. So what this does is it allows you to leverage perplexity within our app. Again, with that no retention policy, so you're able to actually look things up. So in our day-to-day workflows, we essentially use this to maybe look up a business that has filled out one of our forms and then kind of leverage and qualify the lead. And then utilize our AI personas who are trained on our company and say, hey, based on what perplexity you pulled about this company, do you believe this company is a good fit? And then from there, we can kind of go in, and if we think yes, so we'll meet with them, talk with them. So that's one example of how that works. And then if I go in here, I'll show you the URL one. So I have this URL already picked out. So this one's going to go to the marketing persona. So if I hit send here, we'll go into this persona.
We're not seeing any part of the examples here.
The URL was accepted
on Zoom.
So this is helpful in essentially just parsing web pages if you want to use those as content. So if you maybe have a blog post or things like that that you've uploaded and you don't want to necessarily go and dig all that up, you're able to just throw in the links and have your AI trained on that data. So as you can see here, the web page gets parsed, so all the content gets put into. So that's how that works. It's very helpful just in general, parsing information, and being able to do that very quickly. So I'll go back over into here. So one of the big things that we do on a day-to-day basis is create custom workflows. We understand that not everyone maybe wants to utilize the platform. And so that's where I come in, and that's pretty much my whole job is creating workflows and essentially integrating your AI personas into your everyday workflow. So there's no need to habituate to a different platform and learn a whole new thing, because I know that can be hard for some people, especially if you've been using, Slack and things like that for many years. So here's an example. This is what I was mentioning earlier. This is a Zapier workflow that essentially pulls in the information that a user submits through a form on our website, and utilize a webhook to push that information, extract all the information and kind of clean it up. And then from there, we're able to upload that into our CRM and utilize that as a way to kind of capture leads, and then have our AIs kind of do some research on there. That way we have information going into, a call, if they want to book a demo or things like that. And then here's an NAN workflow that triggers from also a webhook that allows prompts to be sent to various AI personas simultaneously. So if you have multiple different personas that you want to capture that are maybe in different channels or things like that, like I said, breaking down a medical record, you can do so with this workflow, and you're able to, do it without ever even touching the platform, essentially. And then I can output the responses into a Google Doc, which might be helpful for sharing. I can output them in email and have them be sent to my colleagues, or have them be sent to, virtually anyone. So again, this is kind of the lead capturing. So this is a chatbot that I built. Her name is Zoe. She's the AI persona that leverages the AI messaging API, as well as that workflow I showed you. So when users log in, they're able to chat with Zoe and get to know personal AI and understand the use cases, and help you kind of work through, what's a good use case for my company, and how does this work, things like that. And so that information we're able to capture and then kind of qualify or follow up with people and answer any questions that maybe Zoe didn't do a good job of answering. So we're able to kind of like see and, work in various aspects of our business without, having humans work in all these other businesses or parts of the business as well. And then the last thing here, so we also have a Chrome extension that I've built, which leverages the memory API, as well as the upload URL API. So essentially what this does, you're able to log in and enter your API key, and you can have multiple domain names, so they can go to different AI personas. And when you're on a website, it'll actively or proactively add tags, and then the article title and the URL, and you're able to select which personas this goes to, and then all you have to do is save. So if you're scrolling through, New York Times, and you see, oh, this is an interesting article I want my AI to be trained on, you're able to do so with this Chrome extension, without having to actually, copy the link, paste, go into the platform, or use the API. Yeah, so I guess that's it. Yeah, so if you're curious about any questions, that QR code to use our website. You can email me as well, or chat with me on personal AI. And then we also have documentation, docs.personal.ai if you're interested in anything else. Yes, question.
Fantastic. Yes. So this exists upon in your servers, not necessarily can be downloaded to our servers. It's not a community type of a thing, is it?
Yeah, so if you're able to log in from our website directly, we're working on being on-prem. So once we're kind of working that out, you'll be able to essentially host it yourself. But until then, it'll be
You're kind of a SaaS type situation.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any community thing for individuals that want to test it out without having to start throwing money at it?
Yeah, if you could reach out to me via email, or you can chat with Zoe and I can monitor that. Either one will work. My email
Put your
should be.
email back up.
Yeah. This thing keeps getting.
And one thing about when you go out their services and ask for this material, does that bill come directly to the personal AI, or in other words, or is it a part of the SaaS fee structure?
You're saying
You
that
have
question.
somebody else do your compute time,
Mhm.
and they charge you a fee for that.
Mhm.
Do you pass it on to the individual that asks for that information?
Yeah, it depends, I guess, on what it is. If it's a super costly, thing like OCR, things like that, then yes, that would be worked into, a contract of some sort. But for these workflows and things like that, we usually set those up and that's included within, your subscription.
So if you have a large corporation and you have a lot of personal, let's say, for instance, I have a university, I have 36,000 students, each of them have personal PI, then I'm responsible for each of their runtime, the overhead and that kind of a thing.
Yeah, no, we're responsible for all that. You pay, your fee and then we take care
Doesn't
of all
matter how many
that.
personal AI attached to your account.
We typically charge per persona, but if you were to build one, I guess, to that scale, we work out some sort of.
So repeat, when the question comes in, if you could repeat it.
Oh, so sorry. Yeah, sorry about that.
Are channels different instances of a persona, or how does the persona know what channel it's operating in?
Yeah, so the question was, are channels different instances of a persona, or how does the persona know what channel it's operating in? So again, we really emphasize user control. So the user actually has the ability to choose what persona they want to add to a channel. So, you're the channel admin, you create the channel, you can add different personas, just like you would add different people. Let's say I didn't want my one colleague in the channel because we're gonna, talk about something that she's not a part of and it's secure and private data. I wouldn't add her to the channel. Maybe I don't add any personas. Or if I need, my one data analyst persona to help me make sense of this giant CSV that I've gotten, I can add that in a persona, as well as, my other human colleague, to kind of work together and the three of us can work in that channel. So that's kind of how that works. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, in the beginning part of your talk, you talked about the RAG that people upload the documents and get embed and retrieve and all this. But these days, all those things, you can do it on a laptop in a second, right? So what advantage do we take by uploading? We are also losing our document to cloud.
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the question was, utilizing RAG, as I talked about in the beginning of the slide, you're able to kind of do a lot of that chunking and retrieving those documents and things like that yourself on a laptop. So kind of what I guess makes us stand out in a sense. So I guess we're more for businesses or people that maybe aren't as tech savvy or don't have the time to, hire people and do, come up with these kind of solutions. We're kind of, a no-code platform that people can come in and easily use. We are also SOC 2 and HIPAA certified, so we're able to handle that sensitive information, and we will be GDPR certified as well at the end of Q1. So it's more for people, I guess, who don't necessarily have maybe the tools or the skills they need to build this themselves. They can just easily come in and kind of see just the front end of what this would look like.
Yeah, one place I can see the advantage is that if you allow the embedded database to your web page, then it would be good, because then I'm not giving my personal account.
Yes, yeah, correct.
Let's take a last question from Michelle
For the RAG, do you use the chunking,
and repeat.
and which template do we have to provide the template for doing the chunking, or you have a bunch of templates?
Yeah, so I am not the CTO, but I will answer based on my knowledge of the product. Yeah, so the question was, using the RAG, are you for the chunking, you said, do you as the user have to provide a template, or how does that work? So essentially we have our own RAG, like we have our own template, I guess, RAG model. And the way it works is it chunk on a very basic level. It chunks and breaks each document or whatever has been uploaded into sections. So depending on how the length of the document, it gets chunked down. And the retrieval part pulls 8 relevant memory blocks in order to, and then puts all those all together and formulates a response based on the keywords in the prompt.
But the chunking is not based on paragraphs or for understanding what the document is on?
Yes, so yes, so he asked, was the is the chunking based on paragraphs or understanding what the document is about? So yes, essentially, once it gets uploaded, we have tools in place that will kind of smart chunk it. So they will reformat the document for you and kind of put things together based on what goes together. And then that gets uploaded in, specific chunks so that all the information that relates to one another is put together. And then you have more accurate answers when you go into prompt AI. Yeah, awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.